Well, welcome to another installment of Real Wealth Podcast, sponsored by Leading Edge Financial Planning, where we help people make wise financial decisions. And we have our guest, Brooke Genter, today. She does breathwork as her specialty. And I'm sure we'll learn if there's any other specialties Brooke has or other talents today. But yeah, it's an interesting space as far as learning to get in touch. Financial planning world is a little bit therapy adjacent, but not necessarily direct therapy. But what's interesting is Brooke has a unique business model where she connects mind, body, spirit, helps with processing emotions. There's a great book out, The Body Keeps a Score. And so there's definitely some connection to that as far as things that happen to us or happen around us or that we experience that maybe hold us back in different ways. And it affects all areas of life when we have trauma, especially unprocessed trauma. So I'm not trying to hold myself out as any sort of a therapist. I'm not today, but it is so interesting as I've done some personal work and had some friends, they introduced me to Brooke, and I've done some breath work myself. And I always sound like a psycho trying to explain to people what it's like. So today I'm excited to have Brooke on and share with us a little bit about what that is. We'll talk about what living the best life possible is, what that means for her, and how this may even help with that for some of the listeners out there. And she's here in Wichita, also partially in California. So Brooke, welcome on. And why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on today. It's neat to be able to talk about it in this way. I've never done this before. So I'm a breathwork practitioner. I do body work. I'm a licensed massage therapist. I do a lot of different things. Essentially, I think I'm a listener. So I listen to people. Everything that you said, just like talking about quality of life and how we can live our best life possible. That's probably the most important thing about me, is that's always been my goal in life, is how can I be happy, right? Like how can I remember growing up and into my 30s, making a birthday wish on the candle. And my wish was always, I wish to be happy. Like, I just want to be happy. So I guess that's oddly the most important thing about me, is it's always been the driving force in my life. It's quality of life, peace, relationships, and just happiness, experiencing life. I don't really know how else to answer that right now. What do you want to know about me? I think I need more specific questions.
Yeah. So how'd you get into this space? What made you aware of how to get into breathwork? And we'll talk about what that is in just a minute. But so I didn't know you did massage. That's cool. I just had a great massage on Friday. And then it's like I was basically inebriated afterwards. It was weird. Mm-hmm. But anyways, so I didn't even know you did massage. That's great. Mm-hmm. But how did you get introduced into that world and get your start there?
I was in massage therapy school, and a friend of mine had gone to a breathwork retreat. And we were on a hike, and he was like, "Oh, I can show you some right now." Okay, so I laid down in the middle of the leaves, and he walked me through about 10 minutes of breath work. And I got up, and I'd never felt so connected to my body, to nature, to everything. I felt so present, so aware, so connected. And my immediate thought was, I need to do that more. I need more of that. And from there, I just immediately started looking up trainings and retreats and different things, because I thought it was really odd that something so powerful was so hard to find. I ended up going to Costa Rica to do a breathwork training a few months later. And I had done one other group previous to that in California. So it wasn't easy to find. It was hard to find, which I thought was very strange for something so powerful. That's how I was introduced to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would echo that, because I didn't realize it's so interesting. Our bodies actually produce a drug that I think is regulated or made. You can't just go take MDMA. I don't think. Right?
I'm not legally.
Not legally.
No.
But our bodies produce it. which a lot of people don't realize. And in the course of breathwork, which I'm excited to hear you explain all the things that go on, our body actually releases that. And all the cool things about, I don't mean, tell you what, I don't want to steal your thunder. Why don't you tell us about breathwork and what it is and what it does to our body and how it connects and all that. Just give us the rundown. Go for it.
Rundown of breathwork. There's lots of different kinds of breathwork. It's a very broad term, I guess, that's used in a lot of areas right now. The breathwork I practice is clarity breathwork. So it was developed by two women. They've been doing it for about 30 years now, I believe. They originally were trained in rebirthing breathwork. So they've both, Dana has been practicing for 40 years. Ashana Solaris has been practicing for 30 years. And it's a very gentle way of breathing. So when you get into the realm of breath work, you have your really like sort of daily things that you can do. 4, 7, 8 breath. Inhale for 4, hold for 7, exhale for 8. That helps you put in touch with it helps you drop into a parasympathetic state. So you're in a rest and relax state. There are different things that we can do really quickly. The breath work I practice is a conscious connected breath. So it's in the realm of holotropic rebirthing, and this one is clarity breath work. They are a little bit more intense. Clarity's the most gentle one I've found. So clarity breath work is a gentle, full inhale and exhale that's going to be connected all the time. So you're not taking any breaths in between, and you're doing that for about 40 to 50 minutes straight. What you've done it.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when we do that is we can drop into a state where we have access to our subconscious, unconscious, higher consciousness. Chemicals are released in the body. It's interesting you mentioned how, MDMA is released in the brain. All of these different states of consciousness. I don't do any kind of drugs or any altering substances, but DMT became a little bit more popular a few years ago. And people were studying it and looking into it and what it could do, and it's the God molecule. So I started looking into ways that you could, your body produces it, how you can reach that in a natural state. And there were 2 ways. It was a darkness, where you go into the darkness for 2 weeks, basically a cave for 2 weeks, total darkness, and that will allow your body to create this and go into this state naturally, or the breath. Not what led me to breath work, but when you said that, it made me think of that. I was like, yeah, it's because if we do this breath work for long enough, we can start to release these chemicals that give us a broader sense of awareness, a broader sense of what's going on in the world. And in addition to that, it also gives us a deeper connection with our own body. So we can sort of feel everything that's happening in our body. We can actually communicate with our body, which seems like such an obvious thing. Like, of course, it's my body. Like, it talks to me. It's communicating all the time. Every cell in my body is communicating with other cells all the time. But for some reason, we walk through this life as though our body is one thing and our mind is completely separate. Like, why is my body doing this? And we're fighting it, and we're not. We have a lot of times we have no awareness of this connection, and that we are always, they're guiding each other. They're working together all the time.
It is interesting how you call out the fact that every one of our cells, even skin cells, organs, all that stuff is talking, and we're not often consciously aware of it. And there's also, and then we can get into if for anyone who's been listening to my podcast, they know my faith is really important to me. So it can be so interesting to try to disconnect the religion side of things with how our parasympathetic system works in our body, and going to church and what faith looks like. But so that this actually might be a little bit of a confusing podcast for some listeners who are like, wait, what? but the reality is our body is super connected on the physical mental, emotional, spiritual end of things, including in the spiritual, including like the mind or the soul and all that. So there's a whole lot of awareness that we go through that we're just not used to. But yeah, it's so that experience of doing that breath work and becoming more connected through all those things, I found has helped me connect on a more day-to-day basis, all those things and increase my awareness. But also, things come to the surface. It's kind of like, I don't know, therapy, or, I mean, it is therapy in a way. It's a different kind, not sitting and talking to somebody, but there are things that come to the surface. I mean, could you talk about the range of experiences people have had as they've done this type of work?
Yes, it's everybody has a hard time explaining it because it's such a wide range of experiences. I know you've experienced it 3 times, and I'm sure it was different, kind of relatively different every time. And we haven't done a one-on-one session. I just realized that. So in a one-on-one, we will do about 30 minutes to an hour of talking first, and then dive into the breath. And then with the breath work, we talk throughout it. So I like to think of it as you're going on this sort of journey inside yourself, inside your own consciousness, your body, all of it. And I get to walk with you and hold your hand. And we're like, hey, what's here? We're looking at just what's here, what's uncovered. So a lot of times when we're walking through our day-to-day life, we're operating from a place of the mind, which means that the mind's here to keep us safe. The ego mind, its primary goal is to keep us safe and to survive. So we're operating from a place of protection a lot of times. And like I said, just making sure that we survive. When we can drop those sort of layers of protection, which is what happens when we dive into this breath, the fastest way I've found to do this is this breath work. When we can drop those layers of protection and really get into the body and experience these things, we find more truths about ourselves. And whether they're traumas or past experiences or whatever it is that's coming up, I think the best way to put it is that we find more truth about ourselves, how we really feel about things, what we really want. So as far as experiences go, I mean, a lot of inner child stuff tends to come up. And it comes up in different ways. So it might start with a pain, right? Like a pain in your side or a pain in your, we'll go with the hip, a pain in your hip. Like, oh, you're breathing. Sometimes people will feel really tingly. They'll start to feel tension in certain parts of their body. And then it's like, oh, I have this pain right here. Oh, okay. So what, let's get really curious about it, right? Curious about the pain in my body. Let's talk and listen to my own body. What does it have to say? And then they might bounce to a memory. All of a sudden, like, oh, I just had this weird memory of my dad, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden we're back there. And how old are you? I'm 5 years old. Okay. Or maybe they're like, I don't know, because sometimes it's scary to put these things into words. So I don't know how old I am. If you did know, how old would it be? And then 5 years old. Okay. What's around you? What's happening? So we can walk through these experiences again. And, Gabor Mate, he does a lot of work with trauma. He says trauma isn't what happened to us, it's what happened inside of us. So a lot of times when I meet with people, they're like, oh, I don't have any trauma. Like I don't have any major things that happened to me. Oh, we all have trauma. We get cut off on the side of the road or someone almost hits us. That's a traumatic experience. And we might not realize that it puts us into a certain state. And unless we fully resolve that state, it stays with us. We stay stuck in a sort of protected state, in a heightened state of fear or anxiety or stress, which a lot of us deal with. So when we're walking through these things, whether it's inner child work or it may even just be a pain in the body, or a memory may not even come up, but it's just walking through the feeling. What is there? Oh, it's anger. oh, okay, there's anger there. What? And allowing ourselves to feel certain things. Because some of us, I can speak for myself here and women that I've worked with, anger is not okay. I'm not supposed to feel it. It's an emotion that I learned to reject when I was younger. So I think that's why I bring that one up specifically. And so we can even walk through those things like, oh, well, can you love yourself in your anger? Can you start to understand that, anger is there to protect you? It's there as a boundary. We walk through these kinds of things. Beyond that, I don't know why I want to ask this, but why don't you tell me about your physical experience when you did it? Because we haven't had a chance to really dive into it or talk about it that much. Yeah.
All right. All right. Here we go. So the first time I did it was at that group session. That's when I was introduced to it. It was so, like, after 5 or 10 minutes, I dropped in. And if you ever do it, so for whoever's listening, if you ever do it yourself, you'll know what that means when it happens. So your state of consciousness will change a little bit, but I felt like my hands were tingling, and then it's like I had radiating waves coming out of my heart area. Some people refer to that as some kind of chakra or something. But anyways, so like I could feel like tangible waves coming out of the center of my chest. I could feel it with my hands, especially. It was like I was putting I tried to at one point just try to put my hands over my heart area, but it was meeting resistance with those waves, which is really strange. I was like, what is happening? And I was like, okay, I think nope. Okay, I'm finally got my hands over my chest. And it's a very intimate experience. So as I'm talking about this, I feel like I'm just bearing all because I sound really funky saying it. So it was the experience for me. I pray while I'm doing it, and so I was very much an encounter with the Holy Spirit for me. And also just kind of connecting everything. I can't remember the things that came to mind, other than there was just kind of like a sense of overall care there. It was really cool, because that was like a year ago now, so it was a minute ago. But I will I did it. The last time was probably a month ago, and I did it on my own. I didn't have a guide, but it was different because I experienced a lot of hot and cold in my body, where you keep a light blanket nearby because sometimes you feel cold, and I'm a very warm blooded person. I usually am really too hot, and so I noticed putting the blanket on a couple times, my hands kind of clawed up or whatever. I don't know the term for that other than sometimes you have limbs just get rigid or your hands get rigid, and they kind of claw and you can't really move much, and I can't really talk very well sometimes when I do it because my jaw can clench up, so I sound really weird when I'm trying to talk, and yeah, and there were some things I took away from that were personal conversations between me and the big guy. But it was such a connecting point of clarity, and it's like some of those conversations are so intimate. I just don't feel like I don't want to share about it right now because it's too much just to put out there for anybody. But it's really powerful, and it's emotionally moving, and it takes me, I don't know, probably 5 to 10 minutes of winding down just to be able to stand up without falling over because my muscles aren't even working again yet. It's immobilizing, and then probably another hour or so to even get back to kind of normal state of mind. But yeah, you go into that theta brainwave mode, and it's you're awake, but it's kind of like you're asleep too at the same time. So it's interesting. It's a lots of diverse experiences, feelings. And I did it after the group session a year ago. I had Brooke come and I wanted to mess with my team a little bit. And I don't know if this took it too far, but I was like, okay, guys, I tried to prep them a little, but you can only prep them so much. But it was, it was great.
It was fun. That was so fun.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, you had guys that, you know, some of the guys couldn't talk, or like it took them a while to get their jaw to unlock or whatever. And they're like, we looked like zombies, like trying to like get back with it. And just like I think Lyndon was even like, I'm not telling Julie about this. She's going to think I'm nuts. Like,
I get that a lot, especially having moved here from California. A lot, like, you know, family members, friends, things like that. Like, oh, well, I'll try it. And then afterwards they'll tell me, I thought this was going to be some sort of weird California thing. And they're just completely blown away by what happens inside of them. What happens. Yeah. It's interesting. And that was fun with your team.
So I just bear it all. There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, mostly, but still, it's awkward to try to explain what goes on when you're in there, when it's going on.
It's a very personal experience. I think it's even if you can tell, I'm having a little bit of a hard time saying exactly what goes on because it is such a personal experience. It's about your own connection with God, with your body, with yourself. It's essentially a space for you to completely explore you and, like I said, your connection with God and all of these things. Yeah, it is hard to explain.
It is very difficult to explain.
Even for me.
But it's one of the coolest forms of therapy I've come across.
It's the most powerful form of therapy I've ever experienced. I do this because, I have done a lot of things over the years, from group work to therapy to energy work to body work, a lot of different journaling and all the things, that we do, and read a lot of books. And until I found breathwork, I hadn't found anything that transformed my life, my state of being, my relationships in anything, any way near what breathwork did for me. Nothing. That's why I do it, because like I said before, I couldn't believe that it was so hard for me to find, that I had to go down such a rabbit hole to get there. And I just wanted more people to be able to experience it because it absolutely transformed my life in the most profound ways. Yeah.
And now you have a career with it too.
Yeah.
It's great.
It is great. I get to do like as my therapist would say, what I'm meant to do, what I'm here to do.
Absolutely.
What I love doing. Yeah.
Something you said when you were explaining it to my team was you're actually putting your body into a state of stress and then in a controlled way coming out of it. Mm-hmm. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. Thank you for taking us there, because I wouldn't have gone there on my own. So this is how it can really make your life, one way it can really make your life better in a very tangible way. So you're putting your body in a stress state, in the sympathetic state, and then you're consciously doing it. So what happens when you consciously do it is you can sort of come back from that. When we do this with the breath, and the breath is the easiest way to sort of have control over your uncontrollable systems, over your autonomic nervous system. So you can actually sort of...
Okay, so let's back up. Sympathetic, can you describe, like I'm an 8-year-old, what is a sympathetic system?
Sympathetic nervous system is your fight or flight.
Okay.
So fight, flight mode. Parasympathetic is rest and relax.
Okay.
And they're part of your autonomic nervous system, which when I hear that, I think automatic like these are the things that just sort of happen in your body that you don't have control over. But we do have some control over them. We do have ways that we can regulate them on our own. And the breath is one of the easiest, most powerful, most accessible ways that we can do that. So when we're putting our body in that stress state and then coming out of it on our own, we're controlling it with the guide or on your own, if you can do it on your own, what it allows us to do in the real world with practice and time is, when you're out in the world and what makes you stressed? What do you feel stressed around?
Oh, that's a question for me.
Yeah.
Oh,
what do you feel
man.
stressed around?
Oh, wow. Yeah. There's a number of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, personal life, work, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So when I feel stressed in the real world, whether it's my personal life or my work life or kids or whatever it is, and I get into that state, we all feel it. It's like this tension and our shoulders are up and we're like, we can feel when our body goes into that state. When we've practiced this sort of breath work for long enough, eventually it's that state becomes less natural. So when we go into it, we feel it, and then we have it's easier for us to sort of come out of it, to bring ourselves out of it. Like, oh, wait, I'm safe. Everything's okay. I can relax, and I can drop back into rest and relax, which is one of the primary, I think, sort of issues that we deal with as humans today is chronic stress. We're constantly stressed. We think it's normal. We think it's normal to have this constant stress and anxiety. And we walk around like that all the time. And it causes major health issues and major mental health issues, physical health, mental health. So many things that we're dealing with now today.
Cancer even?
Cancer. It's the...
I mean, everything causes cancer,
But yeah, it's true.
But there's a lot of
cause cancer.
There's a lot of correlation between stress and cancer.
There is. Our bodies aren't meant to operate in that state all the time. So when we can do this and we can drop it, like you said, drop in, essentially what we're doing is we're dropping into that more relaxed state, that more connected state, that more present state. Like, how many times do clients tell me I just want to be more present? Like, I want to be more present with my kids. I want to be more present with my husband, my wife, my significant other. I want to be more present with my dog. I want to be more present in life, in general. And we can drop into that state. We can get more present and we can control that. It gives us a lot of control of our...
In hindsight, I realized that my mind was able to be really clear in that state. In a world of constant scrolling, I find myself doing it too. Because now, like, TikTok and YouTube and everything's all now like connected and the same. And it's like, it doesn't matter what you do. You could probably wind up scrolling, got your phone open. They've figured that science out, how to hack into our own brains and get us doing stuff that we're like, you guys over there, I can't, you guys are wasting all that time, and then before you know it,
Yep. I know.
They cracked the code.
Yeah.
How does this, or how might this help one to take back ground on our ability to focus, be present? Is there an actual retraining that's happening of our brain and our neurons and our sympathetic system and parasympathetic, or which autonomous? There we go. The big umbrella is autonomic.
Yeah. I question myself every time I say that word.
Autonomic nervous system. So how does this help us take back our own real estate within ourselves from all of the distractions we deal with?
So many ways to answer that question. Because it does. It just does. That's it. That's my answer. It works. Just do it.
just book time with me and we'll do it and you'll see. Yeah, you'll see if it works or not.
I've done that with people before when they have so many questions. Like, you can come in. If you don't like it, don't pay me. It's fine. Because it just works. How does it though? I'm going through a bunch of different books I've read on addiction, and when I say that, I mean like addiction to our phones, and addiction to stress and addiction to things like that. We are so addicted, and I think that's how it helps us to take back. One thing that happens when we're in this state is we have more neuroplasticity, so our brains are more malleable. So For a long time, we thought we couldn't create new connections in our brain after a certain age. It's not true at all. When we go into these states, we can create those connections more easily. So, as far as taking back, so if someone had a goal, I don't want to be on my phone as much. It can get sticky a little bit, but let's go with it. Let's roll with it and see what happens. Someone has a goal. I don't want to be on my phone as much. So the question would be, well, why are you on your phone?
Yeah,
and we'd
exactly.
start to look at that. We'd start to really look at it. And what we're typically going to find is that we're wanting to distract from something. So we have this world, like you said, they've hacked into our brains. They've figured us out. We don't want to feel pain. We don't want to feel emotions. We don't want to feel these things that hurt inside.
We just want our dopamine hits. Mm-hmm. That's all we care about.
We want our dopamine hits. We want to shut it all down. So when we can actually get past that and start to look at like, well, what am I distracting myself from? Well, that time when I was 5 years old, or that fight I had with my boss an hour ago, whatever it is, they're probably connected oddly because they usually are. Okay, that's what I don't want to feel. That's why I'm doing this. And of course, there are other things. We're addicted to our phones, and we'll have to go through a little bit of a detox. But what we can start to do is allow ourselves to feel that pain. I talk with my hands, which I don't know.
No, I was just laughing like somebody with a horrible hangover because they haven't been on their phone in a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
Like, can't get out.
It's
probably
it happens. It's real. It hurts us. So going through those detoxes, which if we actually want to do it, we're gonna have to do. But whether it's your phone or drugs or whatever else it is, we can detox, which a lot of people do now. They're shutting down Instagram, not doing this for a week or for however long. We'll go to detox for drugs and alcohol all the time. But unless we deal with what's underneath that, we're just going to go right. So we get down to, what am I actually distracting myself from? And we allow ourselves to feel it, to really feel it in a space where we feel really safe feeling it. And once we feel that and we complete it and we can learn to love ourselves there, which sounds super kind of weird, but it's just the reality of it. Like, we learn to love ourselves and stop rejecting those parts of ourselves. And we can sort of come into this space of full self-acceptance. Then all of a sudden, I don't have to distract myself. Like, if, the other part of that is whether it's social media or these other things, a lot of times we're looking for connection. We're looking for love, for whatever it is. That we're using, we're wanting that connection, we're craving it really, especially COVID and all these things. We just really want connection. And so when we can come into deeper connection with ourselves, all of a sudden we don't necessarily need these sort of pseudo ways of getting it. Like you said, I felt that connection with God. I felt that connection with my body. Like, okay. All of a sudden, sort of like, I'm thinking of like Splenda, like fake sugar, like,
oh yeah,
but I can't think of the word.
Counterfeit.
These things that sort of give us these tiny little hits, but aren't necessarily the real thing that we want.
Right.
We can get down to what we really want and get that instead.
Yeah, and the question might be, why is it that we have to keep looking? It's because we keep finding counterfeits. And that's so true though. Whether it's phone, whether it's just general activity, it's a cultural thing, and that's why it's so widely accepted. But I spent a summer in Indonesia back in 2008, and their culture runs on relationships. People might be an hour and a half, 2 hours late to something because relationships, people you're in front of come first, and schedule comes second. So the day forms around relationships, not around schedules, which is a very Western thing. but anyway, so I think they're more in touch. That culture is more in touch with, and I think Western culture is influencing them a lot. So it's moving away from that, but they're still way more in touch with being able to be present, be mindful, be aware, understand what's going on overall. And it's not as much of a high driven society or culture as we are here, but we got all this cool stuff and we got all kinds of resources because we're super productive. But at what cost? Because even though we have all the stuff and we have all the toys and that's fun, that's really great. But you know what? Our brains normalize after about 90 days. So they're if we have a lot of toys, we still got to maintain them. Mm-hmm. The newness wears off. Mm-hmm. And then what are you going to do with it? How does that really impact your life? Does it add? Does it help? And eventually, I think it's helpful for us to realize that more toys, more stuff, more things doesn't make us happier. And helping to get connected with what actually does, and clear the clutter, work through some of the baggage we've picked up along the way. And this is such a cool way to create space for that, to let our mind not go blank, but yeah, let our attention not be distracted for a little bit, let our body do some work on cleaning some stuff out, and just be able to be present and accepting, like you're talking about, to love ourselves. And that's a skill that I don't think a lot of people gained growing up. It's not a cultural skill, I don't think, because productivity, doing things the right way, lots of activities, achievement, all that stuff is very cultural, not necessarily sitting with yourself and working through who you are, how to connect, finding actual love, not seeking things in places you're just never going to find it.
Yeah, it's so true. And that's not to say that those things aren't so valuable, but it's like you said, the cultural thing, it's just a little bit out of balance. That's all. The achievement, the productivity, there's not really a lot of space for all, the feeling and the
Right.
cleaning out. So just rebalancing it,
Yeah.
Balancing it out a little.
Not that achievement's a bad thing, not that doing stuff. I mean, I've had a great time doing some hunting with my boys over the last month or so, and teaching them to shoot and having some great just one-on-one time. But I think, to me, that's been more valuable, is just the time shoulder to shoulder doing stuff and sitting, being quiet.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think, one of the most interesting things I've found over the last few years in doing the breath work has created a lot more presence in my life. And with that, how do I put this into words? It's like you said, it's being with my boys. If I can be fully present, I'm actually more productive. It's not about me sitting quietly in a room for 10 hours a day. I don't do that. I don't want to do that. No desire to do that. But if I can come here and really be here and be connected with you, if I can go to work and do my paperwork without being in my head somewhere else, I can be more productive and faster, and I'm enjoying it. Like, if I can be fully there, I'm actually enjoying it, and I can actually be connected to even papers. It sounds so silly, but to everything that I do now as a result of feeling connected for that hour at a time, over and over and over again. Now I can go through my life connected most of the time. Does that make sense? I don't know if I made any sense there.
It does, because I think for me, one of my biggest gaps in productivity, sharing a lot of stuff, just putting it out there today, but I'm quasi traumatized with paperwork because I have so much anxiety over paperwork. I don't even want to do it. I have to do it, but I think most of my effort goes into the anxiety of dealing with it. But I have worked on this is going to sound really stupid, but like exposure therapy with myself on just like, okay, I can just do this.
That is, like you said, it sounds kind of silly. Those are the most life-changing things we can do, though. Like these tiny little things are these things that seem so small.
Nothing to most people. To me, it's anxiety provoking for whatever reason.
I'm not big on paperwork either, so I feel you on that for sure. And it's funny. I remember the first time I was doing something, it was probably some sort of paperwork or something tedious, website building, something that I don't like to do. And I started to think about it, and then I was like, nope, I'm just going to do it. And I was like, how much energy I just saved? Not thinking about it. It's like you said, how much energy do I waste in the thinking and the anxiety? And that's where most of it goes, not in the actual doing it.
Yeah. You're like, man, that pool water looks really cold.
Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful example.
Are we going to dip our toe in and like slowly inch in, or are we just going to jump in and cannonball it?
Mm-hmm.
And cannonballing is honestly like the best way to go. Just do it.
I agree. Get in there and do it. I play this game with myself where if I notice that I'm like not really there and I'm all wrapped up in something, God knows where in the future or the past, I say, and these words just came to me one day. It's like, how can I enjoy this moment even more? And there's something about those words, the question of it, how can I enjoy this moment even more? Because it brings me immediately into the present moment and, oh, hey, like I'm having this beautiful conversation with you. And I can feel a connection between us. And I can feel even the softness of this on my skin, just the tiniest things that it brings me back to the moment and the sense of joy and pleasure. And if it's paperwork, it's like, how does this paper feel? I get really curious all of a sudden and just start kind of playing with the moment.
Sounds like a great way to get lost in your work.
Mm-hmm. Get lost in it and have fun with it and start to enjoy the things that we don't enjoy. And if there are things that we really don't enjoy, start to outsource them. I don't know.
So Brooke, what is living the best life look like for you?
It's kind of everything that we've already covered. Being present, being aware, being connected, and loved and loving. That's what living the best life looks like for me. And that includes doing what I love for work and what I know I'm meant to do here. We talked about, productivity and the culture and things like that. I think so many of us are sort of in a box of like what we're supposed to do rather than actually doing what we want to do and what we feel passionate about, right? So doing what I'm passionate about, connecting with people, because that's my desire. That's what I came on this planet with a desire to do, is connect with people. And that's what living my best life looks like. When I get to the core of it is connection with myself and others as often as possible.
What do you think it is that keeps people from doing what they're most passionate about the most?
Fear. Every time. Fear. I get tears in my eyes when you ask me that question because it breaks my heart how much fear we walk around with. Keeps people from relationships, keeps people from actually feeling loved because we're so scared and walking around trying to be what we think people want us to be. And even if we succeed at that and they love us, we don't feel loved because we're not actually showing them our real selves.
That's right.
And fear of doing what we're passionate about. I think a lot of messages that we get are, or some of us have gotten growing up, are that we have to do things we don't want to do to make money, or we have to do things we don't want to do to survive. That can be imprinted all sorts of ways when we're children. We have to do things we don't want to do. So with that imprint on us, that's what takes us to doing things we don't want to do to survive. And the idea that we can do what we love and thrive is a whole new concept for some people. But we can do what we love and thrive. So I would say that over and over again to myself if I was in a different situation. Like, I can do what I love and thrive.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would have, that makes a lot of sense. I guess what was coming to mind for me is people just aren't connected to themselves. You know, they don't realize what their calling is or what really lights their fire.
That is so true. I can't tell you how many times, and I know that I had the exact same reaction the first time someone asked me, well, what do you want? I was like, I panicked. Like, I immediately went into like survival mode panic. Like, I'm not allowed to want anything. I've never really been asked that question. And I've asked so many people that question who have the same response. Like they're just frozen all of a sudden. Like, what do I want? I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. I've been so busy, taking care of the kids and building this business and da, 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 da. I haven't, people just stop thinking about what they actually want sometimes. Or maybe they never have.
Out of curiosity, this isn't an Enneagram podcast. I just love the Enneagram. You're familiar with it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's your type?
Oh God, can I remember? It was so long ago that I studied this. I think I'm remembering two numbers, and one's the guy I was dating at the time, and one's mine. So I think I'm a 2 or a 4.
2 or a 4?
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe. The other number I'm remembering is a 9, but it's been so long since I looked at that.
Okay.
What's your number?
Well, I'm a 1-wing 9. But
okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, so whichever number it is, great.
Yeah. Great.
Great. Wonderful.
Wait, remind me what the 9 is.
Okay, so 9's a peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, that's kind of what I figured.
Yeah. Yes, that's it. I think he was a 2 or 4.
Yeah, okay. No, you're okay. That makes sense. Sometimes 4s catch me by surprise because I don't, like, maybe it's kind of I just don't pick up on it because, anyways, but hey, the more well-rounded we become, the more we become an integrated blend of all of them. And so that's great. Again, like, I'm not a therapist. I just enjoy the Enneagram. It's really cool because it provides such a neat growth path. Now we're getting off topic, but I was just like super curious because of a statement you made. If there's any other comments you want to make about like the business side of what you're doing, or if you just want to jump to like, how can people find you and get breath work? Because I doubt there's a lot of practitioners in Wichita.
I think there's maybe 1 or 2 other ones as far as I know. There could be people I don't know about, but
Sure.
Not a lot at all. I'm actually currently in the process of opening a space that will have breathwork regularly here in Wichita. My website, though, is thebreathhouse.com, and it's the BREATH and HAUS.com. So I made that complicated. Things I would do differently. And then my Instagram is just _Brooke_Amber. That's the best way to stay updated on things with me. I tend to do everything via Instagram. Regarding breath work, Wichita has been an incredible place to be. I had no intention of staying here. I intended to stay here for 4 months to visit my dad and hang out with him. And what I found was I love the people here so much. And there was a huge response to breath work. And my clients built very, very fast here. That combination kept me here. I don't know. Yeah. And so I guess what I want to say is thank you to people, how amazing and open to these new experiences people have been here. To you too. Bring me into Leading Edge Financial to guide a bunch of guys who probably have never heard of anything like breathwork. I sent my sister a picture. I'm like, this is going to be really interesting.
Right. This is going to be a riot.
This is going to be amazing. And it was funny, even I've done this for a long time, and, it's not like it doesn't work. I know it works, but you walk into a new situation and I'm kind of like, is this going to work? I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
find out. And
Right.
it was great. It was great connecting with your team. That was amazing.
Absolutely. And we all need it. Everybody needs to help their body learn how to regulate, recenter, get everything sync back up. And breath is the main way that we can influence our body getting back under control. And not just under control, but connected, regulated, present.
Yeah. And under control. I used to have an aversion to the word control, and
well, I think I do, but
but we really do have so much more control over how we respond, and that changes that's what changes your life essentially.
And maybe it's not control, more self-control.
Yeah.
But when I say control, I really think regulation of the body, because I mean, we got stuff that we're carrying with us that somebody says something the wrong way can just set you off, So especially someone knows you really well, they know how to just push that button just right. And learning how to get more in touch with why is that? How do we self-regulate? How do we get everything synced back up so that we're like, okay, whatever, And it's not a tender point as much anymore.
Yeah. I mean, to have the power to go into ourself and be like, I'm going to reprogram this so that I don't respond that way, or I can respond however I want to. It's huge in business, in every area of our life, children, love, all of it.
How often do you think people, once they learn the skill or they come to you, like how often should people do breath work?
It depends on exactly what they're working through. I like to work with people once a week for about a month, and then go to every other week for maybe a month or two. And then after that, like once a month, I think tends to keep people pretty steady. The idea is to sort of make that rest and relax a more natural state, though. So initially it's important to do first. And a lot of people who come to me you'd be surprised how many people don't have a place they feel safe fully sharing themselves. Nowhere that they feel safe fully sharing their truth and themselves. So just having that space initially, and then being able to start to show up in their lives more honestly, it sort of creates building blocks for a more honest, true, passionate, just better life all around.
Absolutely. I've got several friends where I feel comfortable being vulnerable, or like, maybe even, I guess I'll leave it at several, but I've only got like probably a couple, really like 1, 2, maybe 3, where I can like fully share like the full what's going on and feel safe with that, because I would imagine there's a lot of people there's a lot of folks like myself who you're used to somewhat transient friendships. Work changes, location changes, people's, like your friends' work changes, and you lose those natural connecting points, and they fade. So it's difficult to it takes work to maintain a truly like deep friendship that's worthy of that kind of information, and that you can have that level of trust with. So that's really awesome that you're creating that space here in Wichita. You're providing a new physically connected form of therapy and helping people just get connected, be present, be happy.
Yeah. Be happy and trust themselves.
Trust themselves.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Brooke, thank you so much for coming on and sharing the stuff that I didn't really want to share, and that you helped me share some stuff I didn't really want to share.
Thank you.
And now some of my people are going to be like, that's not really who I thought Mike was. And we can, I guess, let a few moments over the last year really define me in that way. But hey, why not?
Mm-hmm.
But it's wonderful stuff. I hope people take you up on it, give you a chance, give Breathwork a chance, and do some really great inner work.
Yeah.
So we'll wrap up here in season 2 again. This is Real Wealth Podcast. And yeah, we're helping people live the best life possible at the time we have left, and sponsored by Leading Edge Financial Planning, where we help people make wise financial decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.